Hi everyone, Dan Harris here. Just finished recording this video and I found that the updates don't introduce the regressions that I thought they were going to, or I was worried they were going to. But do stick around to watch this if you're interested in the process I use to build confidence in these changes and learn about some of the limitations of using swap library. Cover your ears if you don't want a spoiler. The swap library breaks if the component API changes. That is the properties, the variants. Uh, if it's a change of order or name, then the component resets back to its default or resting state. But yeah, feel free to stick around and watch my roller coaster of emotions as I try and work out if we're going to introduce a big regression or not. Hi friends, Dan Harris here. I just want to talk about a quite nasty UI kit regression that Katie found. Thanks, Katie, for bringing this up. So just testing this drop-down action destruction branch. I've duplicated the file and published it as a library so that I can do some swap library testing with it. And I'm working in this test file here. So taking the option, which forms part of the pattern from the component library, and configuring a bunch of different options for it. Some of these will break, don't worry too much about it. So selected, not selected. Make these hover. Don't worry about that break. That's not the problem. Active. And then we make these without tick. Hover. Again, don't panic. Some of these will break. Active. Let me just change these quickly as well. So when I do I'm going to use a swap library to switch between the component library and my do not use file, which is a mirror of the branch that I'm working on right now. It can be a bit temperamental and fragile, so don't recommend it for everything, but I think in this case it is highlighting a real bug. So if I do a swap library, switch it off for do not use DynamH, these will all switch to use the DynamH version. And you can see we've lost everything apart from the text override, the state information, the with and without a tick. Is it selected, yes or no? Which is pretty bad regression. It would be something that we'd deprecate a component and do a whole break and change thing for. To compare, or as a further test, let's leave the options at this level the same, but add in some stuff like the icon. Switch that for an avatar, switch that one for a button. And again, these are using the ones from component library. You can see here. And make them change any one of these. So I'll just change it to hover. When I do the swap test, the hover gets lost, but the rest of the stuff, the rest of the stuff should remain. Yeah, so we've still got our options that have been triggered on and off. So I knew all of that before. Now what I'm going to try and do is see if I can isolate where it broke. And my idea at the minute is when we changed the naming of these properties. I wasn't expecting changing the name of properties to break it, but it looks like it might have. So I'm going to run through a bunch of things to try and make sure it is that change, and then work out what we're going to do about it, because this is already merged into the UI kit and we don't have a good way of reverting. Merged, but it hasn't been released or published to consumers. So I'm just going to go back to the real version of component library, version history, and I'm going to go back before. I'm pretty sure it was this merge that caused it. So I'm going to go back to an earlier version, to just before it merged, and duplicate this version of it. Copy. Nice drafts. Publish this library. I need to move it to a team. I can use it. Move. Publish to everyone and manage. Unfortunately, I can't just publish it to myself. Before I do that, I'll change the name. So let's publish in, let's build some more tests. So I'll go back to the component library and bring in option. Text. Is selected. Active. I should do the trick. I'll just take a cheeky screenshot, drop that in too. So remember what that looks like. All right then, have you published? I think that was the message from the last set. So now if I swap library to this older version, I'm not expecting those overrides to be lost. And that'll give me a reasonable amount of confidence that we're about to release a pretty nasty regression. For context, why this wasn't caught, none of the instances here broke when we did the updates. And I wonder if that something different happens. There's different behaviors when you're inside the same file. But I'll try and do a little test to rule that out later as well. So that's all. Still publishing. Let's see. Just see if it's appeared. No. I will do a reload just in case. Like it asked me to earlier. Current file is published. So do not use test2. Where are you? Teams. Do not use test2. Add to file. Now let's do a library swap again. Run a library, swap library. Do not use test2. I'm expecting all of these to stay. Right. Oh, okay. They have. And that's coming from do not use test2. Right. That's pretty annoying. Let's see if we can isolate which change actually broke it then. We've got selected true, false. I'll go for the least likely changes. So change default to rest. And actually before that, let's go for a reorder. Publish changes. See if that breaks. So now I'll test the update flow. I should receive a notification in this file that an update's available. So review, update all, see what happens. Nothing, no change, all looks the same. Okay, let's try a rename of these properties. Okay, publish. Oops. View updates available. Update. Does that come through? State. Cool. Okay, selected true, false. Hasn't changed. Let's see if changing the name of this to is action. Publish changes. Select all. Publish. Update. Cool. Hasn't broken anything. This is the one that might be false. So again, these changes here didn't affect this file. But let's see if they affect it here. View. Does that work? Is action true, false? Exists. Nothing broke. Okay. So that's what I expected to happen. Let's try a swap now. So go to component library, option. Give it a hover state because we know that broke it. And do swap library. Switch component library to use Dan. Do not use test2. Cool. All right, then. I'm back in relatively high confidence mode. So it looks like using swap library, perhaps, well, my latest theory is using swap library can't cope when things change their name. So how about we reset this back to how it was. And let's do those same tests again. So publish this. We can ignore those, but we will just do an update all for whatever reason. So option, change the state to hover. Do swap library. This check where this option is coming from. Component library. Okay. Component library, swap. It retains itself. Happy days. State hover. Now let's reorder the properties here. Publish changes. This is using component library, swap library. Let's see if that breaks. Do not use database swap. Cool. There we have it. Reordering the properties breaks a library swap. Let's see if renaming a property breaks it too. So I'll just put it back to where it was. Publish those. Bring in a new one from component library. Change this to hover. Publish changes. Publish. So renaming those variables or those properties variant has broken it as well. One more test for my curiosity. So I'm just going to change the name of this and see if that also breaks it. So I'll undo all of these things, publish the changes. Can set to hover. And just change state to publish. Publish. Swap, swap, swap. Breaks. Cool. All right then. Well, I'm feeling confident that the changes aren't going to break anything. I think the swap, I think we've identified that doing a swap library test, components can't, or a limitation of the swap library is when properties, either the key or the value, if that changes order or value, like the name of it, then using swap library resets it to its first variant. And when we did the testing, rebuilding it up and applying updates, then we didn't see those regressions. These all maintain themselves. So I think questions for me coming out of this are what is the value of the swap library testing? When is it valuable? I'm less sure of. I guess the component API has to not change for you to consider it. And gives me more confidence that building the regression tests in the branch you're working in, whether that be just reviewing instances and making sure that these don't update unexpectedly, or by, like I've done in other branches, build out a suite of tests before you make the update. Are the only way, or the best way so far to build confidence in the changes. Nice. Well, thanks for joining on this journey with me. Catch you at the next one and have a great day.